to Tom's Tinkering Adventures. How about we finish up this Yamaha TTR125 I got behind me here. I've been working on this thing for a while. A friend of mine brought it over, had some issues with shifting. I tried a few things that didn't work. We ended up pulling the engine out, changed out some parts inside of it. So I'm at the point where the engine is in it. We just have a few things to hook up. I cleaned the carburetor, charged the battery, and as soon as we get things hooked up and do a once over, we can see if it runs. It ran before, so it better, and then see if it shifts better than it did, and get this thing out of my garage, because I would like to get some more projects in here, work on something different. So let's get started on it, shall we? Oh, first thing we're gonna do is change this back tire. I got a new back tire for it, so we're gonna get that taken off, change that tire, and start buttoning everything else up. In order to get this back tire off, I had to put a stand under the bike. Fortunately, this is a really small, light bike, so I just stuck one of my dirt bike stands under there. The back wheel is supported. When I installed the engine, I did not install the chain, so that's already been removed. That's very easy. This bike has a drum brake on the back, which sometimes can be a little bit of a pain to deal with, but usually not too bad. You can either back off this little adjuster wing nut, disconnect this clevis here, or you can disconnect it up here at the pivot. I haven't connected any of this stuff yet because I knew I'd be taking this wheel off. And, I stuck the sticker for the new tire on here. And all we have is a 17mm nut on this side, and I will hold the bolt on this side. So I'll get that off and I'll show you what we're dealing with. Okay, I've already removed the valve core from the valve stem. Now on dirt bikes, you have what's called a rim lock, and that's what this extra bit here is. Some of them have two. I'm actually surprised the small bike has one. I'll show you what that is once we get this tire off of here. But what you need to do if you have a rim lock is loosen this up. I usually loosen it right till the nut's all the way off, and then kind of just give it a little tap. Of course, I'm using the appropriate hammer here, and it should push in just like that. So I'm going to break the bead, get this tire off, and I'll show you what that rim lock looks like and explain kind of what that does. Small motorcycles are easier to work on some things, but harder on others. That tire really wore me out. Sorry about the sniffles here I got today too, but whew. The fact that it's a smaller tire and an old tire combined to make it a real pain. But anyway, here is the rim lock. Now this will be only really found on dirt bikes because you can run lower pressure in the tires, and then you're running off-road with these aggressive knobby tires, which will gain traction, and then the tire will spin on the rim. And with a tube inside of here, that's not a good thing, because the valve stem will start to get an angle like that, and then you'll rip the valve stem off. So what this rim lock does is goes between the bead of the tire and the rim of the tire like that, and as you tighten it down, it's supposed to put pressure on both beads of the tire against the rim and hold the tire from spinning on the wheel. And like I said, some bigger bikes have two of these. And it does make it a little bit more of a challenge to install the tire, because you have to push this up, try to get the tire on both sides of this. It's all part of the fun. But I have the other tire sitting out. I guess you can't see it. It's in the sun over there. And that is a good tip if you're going to be installing tires. Put them outside, let the sun heat them up, because they will be a lot more pliable. And then also use some lubricant, so some soapy water or tire mounting lubricant. All that will help. So let me get this thing on here, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, tires installed. Let's get the chain, well, the front sprocket, the chain, the front sprocket guard, the shifter installed. I got the tank set on here, hooked up to the carburetor. Actually, I might have to pull that back off. I just set it there, but I have to hook up the choke cable, which my buddy never got me a replacement for, so we'll be putting this broken choke cable back on here, but I'm just going to kind of route it outside so it'll be easy to change. And we got to hook up this brake lever, throw the seat and the side covers on, skid plate, and we are done. So I will get hot on that and come on back to you here, and you can be here when I press the start button for the first time, and we'll see what happens. Everything is reinstalled except for the skid plate, because I'm still on the stand here. I guess I could have pulled that out, but let's see if we can't start this thing. All right, so it runs, and that's a step in the right direction. We're back together in one piece and it's running. I don't hear anything unusual. It's actually running quite nice. Now, when I had it on the stand, there you go, she's died out. It's cold, but it's okay. When I had it on the stand, I shifted it through the gears while I rotated the back tire. And to be honest, I am not feeling very positive that this thing is going to work any better than it did, unfortunately. But I'll have to get it down off the lift and take it around in the yard and see what we think. So I am going to go ahead and take her off the stand and do a little lap or two around the yard and see what happens. Well, the verdict is in. It shifts better, but I wouldn't say that it shifts perfectly. And if it was mine, I don't know if I'd be happy with it, honestly. So I don't know what to do. I don't want to take it apart again. From some reading I've done on this model, part of the reason that it shifts terrible is because of the linkage mechanism here. So I've already told my friend to buy a shifter that just attaches directly, and you lose all this linkage. I have a couple of them laying around, but they're going to be too long to work on this. And I'm hopeful that when he installs that, and it's not expensive, it's like a $10 or $15 part, I'm hopeful that when we install that, that the shifting will improve dramatically. It definitely shifts better than it did when it came into the garage, but it's still not what I would say is crisp and perfect. So, sort of a win. It's back together, everything works. It works better than it did before. I'm not satisfied. Of course, I'm doing this for a buddy, so he's not going to be in it for a lot of money, but it's just unfortunate that it didn't bring it up to the levels that I hoped that it would. But hey, you know what? Sometimes you just can't win them all, unfortunately. So I'm going to have him take a look at it and decide what he wants to do with it. So that is probably going to be the end on the Yamaha TTR125 engine removal and transmission rebuild. And we'll see what project we get on to next here. But thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios. He's a friendly little fella.